Get ready for 2 more years of patches on the blue line.
You're Locked On Flames, your daily podcast on the Calgary Flames. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to today's episode of Locked On Flames. As always, I am your host, Jessica Belmosto, and thank you so much for joining me today. Today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel. You can start the season with a big return on FanDuel. New customers can place a $5 bet, and you'll get started with $150 in bonus bets if your first $5 bet wins. Visit FanDuel.com to get started. Today, we're going to talk about Brayden Pachal's extension and the implications for the upcoming defensive prospects and just what might need to happen in order to allow a breakthrough to happen. Make sure you subscribe to Locked On Flames wherever you get your podcasts, as well as YouTube. We're here for you Monday through Friday, 5 days a week. Your Calgary Flames every day. And Brayden Pachal's story is very Flames-esque, very, quintessential underdog, grinding your way to the top, fighting for what, is your spot. And it's great. I think that there's a reason why there is this kind of culture around the Flames. And it's not because it's, oh, woe is me, I've had to work harder than everyone else. It's, a testament to everyone's work ethic. And before we get into Pachal, I just my first thought was Mackenzie Weegar's 500th game and how they talked about him clawing his way up through the ECHL to get to the NHL. And Pachal is a similar story in terms of fighting to earn that regular spot in the lineup. He won the cup with Vegas, and the following season was placed on waivers. And I don't necessarily think he was on anyone's radar when that occurred. Not that that's a bad thing. I mean, there's players that obviously go on waivers just about on a daily basis, and you might not be quick to be like, oh, this is a guy the team should grab, especially with the Flames. The Flames are not typically in on waiver claims. The two in the last 5 years that I know of are Brayden Pachal and AJ Greer. Those are the only two. And I think it was 4 years in between that and their last waiver claim. So it's not something the Flames do often. And I think that if it obviously means something, there has to be real reasons for them to believe in the player and see the scouting report just has to be there. But Brayden Pachal has come into Calgary since being claimed off of waivers from Vegas and has made his presence known. He is a solid third pairing defenseman. He rounds out that blue line. He beefed up the blue line. I mean, heck, he's a big guy and he's not afraid to throw his body around. And with Nikita Zadorov gone, at this point, they were still teammates at one point, but you need a presence like that. And Pachal is that guy. And we have seen him stand up for his teammates. We have seen him get involved in scrums. And yeah, does taking penalties kind of hurt him? Yes, of course. But I mean, look at other third pairing defensemen out there and tell me that they're also not making similar mistakes. But this is a feel good story because, from an underdog to really finding your footing, getting yourself established with the Flames organization and working hard and working really in a situation where you could easily be placed back on waivers, should the Flames want to call up a different defenseman, or if they wanted to use, like Jake Bean or Tyson Barrie and Joel Hanley one night instead of you, like there's a lot of reasons to be happy for this. Congratulations, Brayden Pachal. I didn't, not that this is going to sound a lot worse than I mean it to, but I didn't expect this. And not because he's a bad player, but because I thought we were going to open up as many spots as we possibly could. But maybe that's not what the Flames' vision is right now. And that's not necessarily a bad thing. And we're going to talk more about some prospects here in a little bit and kind of what might be in the works, what could be in the works, and really a realm of possibility, truly. But Brayden Pachal has worked hard, and it's another great reminder that the Flames do reward hard work. They do reward a solid work ethic. It's not just about walking in. That your spot has to be earned. And coming up next, we will talk a bit about the prospects and the little bit of logjam that has been a cause for concern for the Calgary Flames here on Locked On Flames. Prize Picks is the best place to make the most of your money. Today's episode is sponsored by Prize Picks. If you love sports, you're going to love Prize Picks, the best place to turn your sports knowledge into real money. Whether it's hockey, football, or any of your favorite sports, Prize Picks makes it easy for you to get in on the action. You can now win up to 1,000 times your money on Prize Picks. Plus, this holiday season, they're giving away $30+ million in rewards during Pickmas and offering 2 free picks in December. And when your picks hit, Prize Picks makes it easy to cash out, and you can get your money in as fast as 15 minutes. This week on Prize Picks, I am eyeing, looking at Jack Hughes for more than 4 shots on goal and Artemi Panarin with more than 1 assist. It's so simple to make my picks and have fun with friends while potentially cashing out fast. Download the app today and use code LOCKEDONNHL to get $50 instantly after you play your first $5 lineup. That's right, $50 instantly. Prize Picks. Run your game. The World Series, Super Bowl, the Olympics, the Stanley Cup, the world's top athletes get to play in these top-level sporting events thanks to one thing: teamwork. And teamwork can also protect your financial legacy and your family's future. Select Quote's licensed insurance agents are the perfect teammates when shopping for customized, affordable life insurance. They can find you the right policy to keep your financial legacy safely in your family's end zone. Life insurance is, important to have. Accidents happen, things happen, and it's good to just have that safety net. Select Quote is one of America's leading insurance brokers with nearly 40 years of experience, helping over 2 million customers find $700 billion in coverage since 1985. Get the right life insurance for you for less at selectquote.com/lockedonnhl. Go to selectquote.com/lockedonnhl today to get started. That's selectquote.com/lockedonnhl. Thanks everyone for hanging out with me today on Locked On Flames. Make sure you are subscribed wherever you get your podcasts, as well as YouTube, so you never miss an episode. When looking at the extension, right, you're looking at 2 years, 2 years with an AAV of 1.187. Like, that's really not bad. I think that's a great deal, considering what other options have presented themselves for the Flames with the salary cap or with their contract expectations. Brayden Pachal is a good player. And I think this is a great deal. 25 years old. This contract will bring him to UFA status when he is 27. So what does this mean for the Flames, right? Because this is what we ask ourselves every time an extension is signed or the reports start to fly about someone being in talks for an extension or trade talks, whatever the case may be, right? Because right now the Flames plan is not to win right now. It is to build, create, establish a roster, construct a roster that consists of high caliber, high quality players that can bring the championship back to Calgary. And when you have a bit of a logjam in your system with prospects and you see another spot kind of locked down for another 2 years, it's easy to kind of be like, well, what are we doing here? But this isn't a bad thing. Right now the Flames have Uyghur, Anderson, Bean, Miramonov, and Pahal all under contract for the next 2 seasons, at least. So, Anderson, really, it's just Uyghur beyond next year, and Pahal. But there's definitely room for the Flames to grow. And there's not a lot of room for the prospects to grow. We have seen players kind of bounce back and forth between the NHL, like immediately, Ilya Solyov, Yan Kuznetsov, come to mind. Those are the 2 players that have bounced up and down in betweeners. Are they NHL caliber defensemen? We have not seen enough of them to establish a good scouting report. In my opinion, I don't necessarily have a critical eye like that, unless it is painfully obvious that this player is or isn't going to make it in the NHL. But there are prospects that have earned at least a shot. And Jeremie Porier immediately comes to mind. He has worked so hard, especially coming back after injury, that could have ended his hockey career as a whole, with that laceration to his wrist. Like, they don't talk about that day because of how gory it was and how much it deeply impacted them. So, I think that working his way back and truly clawing his way back from such a significant injury is another testament to his work ethic and skill. And he should be getting a shot at the NHL. And I understand there's, the caste system, I guess you could say, and who gets the call up, who doesn't, who has earned this, but you're never going to know unless you do it. And I think that's kind of frustrating. And, you have younger players in this lineup or that are that are a little bit further, not behind, that sounds bad, but they're a little bit further away from making the NHL, like Hunter Brustewicz and Zane Perrick. Like, those 2 are 2 young players that you can see in the Flames' future. and on the Flames blue line. And that's not a secret. And they have made it clear that their priority is getting younger and getting faster, and their defense doesn't necessarily have the strongest prospects. So they need to strengthen that. And I don't necessarily think you have to go out and trade players left and right to bring in defensemen. I know that I feel like every 3 months, Mackenzie Weegar's name gets brought up, typically by Ottawa Senators fans, in some sort of trade package. And I get that it's, a business. Trades can happen. It doesn't, just because you are the heartbeat of the team or the next captain, I would say, that doesn't make you exempt from any possible trades or anything. I mean, look at how the Rangers do everything, trading their captains away. It's like once you're named captain, a trade is going to be coming your way eventually. But I do think there is room for concern, because you have all of these guys taking up these roster spots, and you aren't getting an opportunity to see how some of these players play at the NHL level. And why are we not seeing that? Do the Flames personnel just believe that they're not ready for the jump? Is it a matter of them not being NHL caliber goaltenders or defensemen? Like, what is preventing, other than should a spot open up, why shouldn't it go to someone like Solo? Or why did the Flames feel the need to go out and sign more 6th and 7th defensemen in Jake Bean or Tyson Barrie when you have your younger players there? So is there something that they see that we are not? But coming up next, we are going to talk about making room and kind of seeing what needs work on the Flames back end here on Locked On Flames. Get ready to tackle the NFL action with FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook, because right now, new customers can bet $5 and get $150 in bonus bets if you win. The FanDuel Sportsbook app gives you everything you need to place live bets on the NFL all in one place. I love the FanDuel app because it is so easy to use and to navigate, and you can just find everything without having to look too hard for it. So when you get a hunch in the middle of the game, you can check out the latest stats, view live play-by-play, and so much more on the same page where you place your bets. Just visit FanDuel.com to join today, and you'll get started with $150 in bonus bets if that first $5 bet wins. That is FanDuel.com. Never waste a hunch and make every moment more with FanDuel, an official sportsbook partner of the NFL. Thanks, everyone, for hanging out with me today on Locked On Flames. Make sure you're following me on Twitter and Blue Sky at Jessica Belmosto. And just thank you all again for making Locked On Flames part of your day. There's 1,000,001 podcasts out there, so thank you for tuning in. Greatly appreciate it. We know the Flames are currently a work in progress. There's little renovations going on. It's like when you're going to a hotel and they have up the signs, please excuse our appearance while we update and renovate. Thank you, hotel staff. That's kind of what it's like when you're looking at the Flames, right? Because there's a lot of moving pieces that have shipped out. And there's a lot of pieces that are still here. They're holding up the building, the foundation, the what do you call it? The foundation, and then like some of the support, the structural support. And we know that there's things that are going to need to be updated and upgraded. And the strengthening the blue line is absolutely one of those. And the ultimate goal is to have a defensive group that is successful. Like, you want to somehow be able to replicate your 1 through 6 that you had, or even 1 through 4 that you had during your 2021-22 run. And that's hard because you do not have Chris Tanev. You do not have Noah Hannafin in your organization. You could honestly kind of argue that Mackenzie Weegar is close to Hannafin or Tanev because he is a shutdown defenseman and he's not afraid to throw himself in front of a puck, any moving puck. But you have to be able to replicate such talent in different players under possibly a different system, under a very different coach. So what is the game plan here? I mean, ultimately the goal is to win, right? We all understand, and it's not to just win a successful regular season. It's eventually to win the Stanley Cup. But when this team starts to resemble a tried and true playoff team, then that's when you know plenty of progress has been made. And I'm not sold on the Flames not having NHL caliber defensemen in their prospect system. I think, they could have had something with Valimaki. And I understand that things ended sour for the former coaches, like basically personal reasons. That whole thing still doesn't really make sense to me. Waiving Valimaki and losing him for nothing versus what you could have traded him for it still feels weird to me. And he's been playing great in Utah, so good for him. I think about Connor Mackey too. I mean, he hasn't found NHL success, but he has been an in-betweener in the Rangers organization. And I do feel like the Flames have more in-betweeners currently than tried and true defensemen. And that's not always a bad thing because you have the number of veterans and solid defensemen right now. However, what are you going to do with them? Because you shouldn't just let them walk in free agency. And honestly, sometimes that's a really long time for some players. So you don't know when that could be. Do I see a world where prospects get tired of waiting for that shot because they haven't been given a fair shot? Yeah, absolutely. And that happens everywhere. And sometimes you just have to move on. And honest to goodness, I don't think that the Flames necessarily have any untouchable pieces. I mean, maybe Dustin Wolf, but I use that very lightly because I feel like anyone could be up for grabs for the Flames if the call is right. I hope that with the amount of draft picks the Flames have, the draft capital really lands in their favor. I hope that they're able to, I mean, they need to find a center. We know this. We've talked about it ad nauseum, but they also really need to find some strong defensemen. And not just, your 3 or your 4, 5, and 6 defensemen. You are ultimately looking for your 1, 2, and 3. Could that be Zane Parrick? Probably. Is Mackenzie Weegar probably going to be a second pairing defenseman until his contract expires? Yeah, that, and he's going to bounce to the first pair as well. So you have to calculate the moves and really see if there is an opportunity for some of these defensemen elsewhere, because you still need to keep the Wranglers rostered, but I don't necessarily think you have to hold on to all of the cards. And I would expect to see some parting of ways at some point this season. But that will do it for me here on today's episode of Locked On Flames. Thank you all so much for tuning in. I hope you have a great day. It is absolutely freezing here, and I hope you are staying warm. I hope you're staying hydrated, moisturized, wearing your chapstick. And until tomorrow, stay safe, stay warm, stay dry, stay cool, stay hydrated, and please make sure you are subscribed to Locked On Flames.